All right, let's jump right into another deep dive. This time we're heading into Chapter 15 of Frankenstein. Buckle up, because this is where things start to get really interesting, really intense.
It is, yeah. This chapter 15, it's pivotal. It's a real turning point for the creature. He's been, watching the Lacey family, learning, absorbing all this knowledge from literature, and now he's ready. He's ready to make his move.
Yeah, he's going to try to step out of the shadows, and we get to see, will he be accepted? Or is this going to push him even further away from humanity?
That's the big question, right? And a big part of how we get there, how he gets to that point, is how he educates himself. He's teaching himself about humans by reading Paradise Lost, Plutarch's Lives, The Sorrows of Werter.
He's got quite the reading list. I mean, think about it. These are some pretty heavy texts.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure out morality, good and evil, virtue,
Huh.
all on his own. No guidance, no context.
Exactly. No teachers, no mentors, just him and these complex books. And of course, he's going to misinterpret some things along the way.
Especially, I think, in Paradise Lost.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he starts to see Satan, the fallen angel, as a kind of tragic hero, a fellow outcast. And that really resonates with him. He feels abandoned by Victor, by God, by everyone.
It's almost like he's searching for an explanation for his own suffering, his own isolation. And he finds it in these grand narratives of rebellion and loneliness.
Right. And that internal conflict, that tension between wanting connection but fearing rejection, that becomes the heart of his tragedy, I think.
And then, of course, he finds Victor's journal. The journal where Victor describes in detail the creature's creation and his horror at what he created.
Oh, imagine that. Reading about your own birth through the eyes of someone who was completely repulsed by you. It's devastating.
It really is. It confirms all of the creature's fears.
Yeah.
He's different. He's an abomination. Even his creator couldn't stand the sight of him.
It's a confirmation of his otherness. And it fuels his resentment towards Victor, his isolation, his anger.
So with all of that swirling around in his mind, he decides to take a huge risk. He's going to reveal himself to the Lacey family. But he chooses a time when the old man, the father, is alone.
That's interesting, isn't it? He's hoping that maybe, because the father's blind, he won't be judged solely on his appearance.
Right. He's seen how kind and compassionate the Lacey family is. He's hoping for the best, isn't he? Putting his faith in their humanity.
It's a calculated risk. He's desperate for connection, for acceptance. He's seen how they treat each other, how they help others, and he's clinging to the belief that they might see past his exterior to the soul he believes he has.
So he walks into the cottage, presents himself as a traveler needing shelter. And for a little while, there's this glimmer of hope. The old man, he responds with kindness, with generosity.
Yeah, you get the sense that maybe, just maybe, the creature's gamble is going to pay off. It's a tense moment. Shelley really builds the suspense. It's almost like a test, right? Can the creature's eloquence, his inner goodness, overcome his outward appearance?
But then, of course, the other shoe drops. The rest of the family comes home. Felix, Agatha, and Safi. And, yeah, it does not go well. Not at all.
It's such a stark contrast to the old man's reaction. They're horrified. I mean, truly horrified.
You can't really blame them, right?
Yeah.
They don't know his story. All they see is, well, a monster.
Right. And it's not just fear, either. There's real violence. Felix, he doesn't hesitate. He attacks the creature, forces him out of the cottage, back into the darkness.
It's brutal. And, you really feel for the creature in that moment. He's put his heart out there, laid bare all his hopes, his longing for acceptance, and it all just crumbles.
It's a complete rejection, and it makes you wonder, what if they'd reacted differently? What if they'd listened, tried to understand? Could things have gone another way?
That's the question that haunts this whole chapter, I think. How much do our prejudices shape our interactions, our perceptions of others?
We see someone who looks different, who acts different, and we immediately assume the worst. We don't even give them a chance.
And for the creature, this rejection, this violence, it's a turning point. Up until now, he's held on to this belief in the goodness of humanity. He's seen it in the Lacey family, read about it in his books.
But now that belief is shattered. He's experienced the dark side of humanity firsthand. And it changes him.
He starts to question everything. All those noble aspirations, all that hope he had, it starts to curdle into resentment, into anger.
And it's in this moment, I think, that he truly becomes the monster that society has always perceived him to be.
It's tragic, really. He wanted connection, he wanted love, and instead he got fear, rejection, violence.
And from that point on, his quest for acceptance warps into something much darker. It becomes a quest for revenge. He wants to make Victor feel the same pain he's feeling.
It's like the creature saying, if I can't have love, then you'll have suffering. It's a pretty grim turn of events.
And this is where the novel really starts to explore those deeper, more philosophical themes. Shelley's forcing us to confront our own prejudices, our own role in creating monsters.
The creature, he's a product of Victor's ambition, of his hubris. But he's also a victim of society's fear of the unknown, of the different.
We create these categories, these labels, monster, demon, other, and then we use them to justify our own cruelty.
This chapter, it's not just about the creature's journey. It's a reflection of our own humanity,
Yeah.
our own capacity for both good and evil.
It's a powerful message. And it's even more tragic because the creature, he didn't just want acceptance from anyone.
Right, he had a specific vision in mind. He wanted to be part of that family, the Lacey's.
Yeah, he saw in them everything he longed for, love, warmth, belonging, that sense of family he never had.
And that's what makes his rejection so devastating, I think. It's not just personal, it's like a rejection of everything he hoped for, of everything he thought humanity could be.
Exactly. It's like he's being told, there's no place for you here, no matter how hard you try, no matter what you learn.
It's that moment, that encounter, that really seals his fate, doesn't it? He goes in with so much hope, and it's just crushed.
It is. And that's where I think he starts to embrace his otherness. He becomes the monster, the outcast that everyone's afraid of because, well, what other choice does he have?
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it takes the novel into a much darker place. Shelley's pushing us to examine our own prejudices, our own fears.
Asking us, are we capable of seeing past appearances? Of accepting those who are different? Or are we doomed to repeat these cycles of fear and violence?
The creature, he's a product of Victor's ambition, sure. But he's also a victim of our inability to embrace the unknown, to face our own fears.
It's easy to label something a monster, to push it away, to dehumanize it. But then we become the monsters, don't we?
It's a powerful message, and it really stays with you. This chapter, it's not just a pivotal moment in the story. It's a reflection of our own humanity, of our own capacity for both good and evil.
And it leaves us with some tough questions. Could we have done better? Could we have made different choices?
Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into Chapter 15 of Frankenstein.
We've covered a lot of ground today, and hopefully we've given our listeners some things to think about, to ponder.
I know I have. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those pages turning.